Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Thursday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the Uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures and gold are currently trading below fair value, while crude oil continues to move higher. It's up another $1.20 at the present time. Now, we are coming up to U.S. jobless claims coming out at 8:30 this morning. They could certainly help change the direction and the tone of the market. Now, the world is still watching China as the market continues to move higher, and it's taking any North American stock with Chinese ties up as well, including the major casino companies. What's happening in China has also helped spur interest in the price of copper, and that's helped a lot of mining stocks move up over the past couple of weeks. What's not working right now? Well, the Israel market has pulled back over the last couple of days, but certainly no major breakdown. We're still on a buy signal here, even though what's going on over in the Middle East. And of course, what's going on in the Middle East has helped push crude oil prices up over the past couple of days, and they continue to move higher on Thursday morning. Natural gas is a localized commodity, not really affected by what goes on in the Middle East, but it did make a new high for this move on Wednesday. And of course, that can help some individual energy stocks. What's happening in the energy market has helped push energy stocks up, but yesterday was not a good day for the Canadian market. It was barely up at the end of the day, giving up a lot of the gains that we saw during the day, while the U.S. market held most of the gains and was up a little over 1%. So there's more interest in U.S. energy stocks than Canadian energy stocks at the moment. Now, the VIX is still on a buy signal. That, of course, is still negative for stock prices. The U.S. dollar index has moved up over the past couple of days with what's been going on in the Middle East, and we've seen money continue to come out of the bond market, including out of the junk bonds. So that is telling us that bond traders are a little nervous at the moment, giving up the high yields in the junk bond market. Now, looking at the GLD, it is still on a buy signal here, was up slightly yesterday. It's down slightly in the pre-market this morning, not enough to generate a sell signal for the price of gold. Now, moving on to the major index ETFs, no trend changes from Wednesday's trading action. The iShares for the TSX 60 looking the strongest right now, still closing above the upper channel line. The Dow Diamonds had an inside day on Wednesday, while the SPY and the Triple Qs both closed in the middle of the channel. So certainly there's a mathematical possibility of a sell signal for either of those on Thursday. Next up, let's take a look at our 31 stocks in 31 days. So far, we've covered Apple. Apple is still on a buy signal. That would change on Thursday with a close below $224.62. And then we looked at Boeing. Boeing had an inside day yesterday, looking for a close on Thursday above $157.17. Next up, we're going to look at Canadian Natural Resources, and if we look at the rankings, we're currently ranked at 2 on the weekly chart, which means we're probably not on a weekly buy signal, and then we're ranked a 6 on the daily chart, so that would certainly confirm a daily buy signal. Of course, the chart is worth 1,000 words. All our charts are color-coded. Blue is bullish, red is bearish. Here's the baseline, the S&P 500. Here's what Canadian Natural Resources is currently doing. And you can see we peaked a few months ago and we've been coming down. Now, up until last Friday, we were down 8% for the month of September. But coming in this week, we have been up the last couple of days. So there's probably no reason to do anything if you're a long-term investor. People using monthly charts are institutional investors or long-term investors who are probably reviewing their portfolios on a monthly or quarterly basis. They're trying to filter out all of that noise from Monday to Friday and from the first of the month to the end of the month. So they really want to stand back and take a long-term look at a stock or the market. Now, moving on to the weekly charts, you can see that this stock has certainly been in a bullish run, and investors are using the flypaper channel as a point to buy the dip. And here we are. We are oversold coming in to this week. We were oversold, and we're at the right in the flypaper channel. So this is the time and place where you look for the market to turn around. Now, this is a weekly chart, so it's not going to change until this Friday. But here we are holding the 100-week moving average. So this chart has the 10-week, the 50, the 100, and the 200-week moving average. So We are still projecting lower prices here, and what we need to do, of course, is break out above this downtrend line to nullify this projection. Remember, projections don't know what they don't know, so we're just basing the projection on the mathematical data that we had up until Friday's close. Now, we are currently slightly underwater here, but not by much. So yes, we've had a pullback, but given what's happened to this stock, the pullback has not been that significant. Currently, we're holding the 43.75 level on a weekly basis. If you look up, there's resistance at $50, lots of resistance at $50. And then if we break that, then 56.25 could certainly come into play. But that is our playing field right now. If we start closing below the recent low, then 37.50 would come into play. Now, the pros gave up control a few months ago. That's what you expect when a stock is moving down. We've been on a weekly sell signal for a few months as well. Now, things would change this coming Friday if Canadian Natural Resources were to close above $48.70. Now, notice we're still projecting lower prices here. At the same time, we've had a pressure zone starting to form. And again, the pullback in this stock has not been that significant. Currently, we're holding the flypaper channel. We're holding 43.75. So this is the time and place where you look for a low-risk buying opportunity. And we've started to see that in the daily charts. Moving on to the daily chart, of course, we talked about the fact you can have cycles within cycles. And so while things look very bright on the monthly chart and the weekly chart started to turn around, the daily chart here is still underwater. We are still trading in the flypaper channel, looking to see if we can break out above it and take out the $50 resistance. And we're stuck here at the moving averages as well. And we are starting to come back. Momentum started to change a little while ago. We're still underwater on the midterm chart, but that could start to change. Now, our first level of resistance on the daily chart is 46.88. We ran up to that level on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we peaked our head above it and then came right back down and closed at 46.79. So the market is still strongly attached to the 46.88 level. If, of course, we can take out yesterday's high, then $50 would certainly come into play. We do have an open gap that is still unfilled. The bottom of that gap is at 46.38. We got as high as 46.28 on Wednesday. Then looking at who's in control, the pros have come back this week. They are back in control, so that's bullish for the stock. And here we are. We're on our second day of a buy signal. Oddly enough, we pulled back yesterday and actually closed slightly lower on the day, bringing us back to that area of resistance that we looked at a second ago. And so we're going to remain bullish on this stock and long this stock unless we see a close on Thursday below $44.75. Not expecting that to happen. And that lower channel line is starting to curl up. It hasn't moved that much over the past couple of days, but it will start to move up more sharply over the next couple of days. And our last chart this morning is the panic zone chart. You can see we're down here at the bottom of the panic zones. Pressure zone has formed. We did start to move up and it failed fairly quickly. We came back down, but what you should really notice here is that we put in a higher low. So there's a low and a higher low, and now we're looking to see if we can move up and put in a higher high. And that would certainly happen if we could break out above $50. Now, $50 is major resistance, and so if I was long this stock, I would have an order in to sell part of my position below $50 at, say, $49.89, $49.88, around there. I'd have an order in place and just let it sit there and see if we can go up and take some money off the table up at that level. And then, of course, if we can break out above $50, I would put in another order above that as well. But $50 is major resistance for this stock at this time. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. So far, the market looks like it may want to do a little bit of selling at the open, but we don't have those jobless claims out just yet. Enjoy the rest of your day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Friday.